Oh, hi, my name is Rachel Craigie with eXp Realty. I'm the host of Nuts and Bolts of How to Add a Legal Second Suite. And in this particular series, we'll be speaking with architect Alejandro Lopez. He's going to be he's going to be reviewing some of the projects that he's done in addition to his own personal project. And from a design sense, he's going to be giving us some insights as to how to maximize your space when it comes to adding an additional suite. He also will be touching on the latest change by the Ontario government, Bill 23, with respect to zoning and what that means. So if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to reach out and I can put you in touch. Otherwise, enjoy. Take care.
In I'm 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 also an architect. I wear two hats for tonight's presentation. Firstly, I'm an architect at Poesis Architecture. We have a lot of experience, a lot of recent experience with missing middle projects, and this is one example that we're looking at, which is in Little Italy in Toronto. And the reason I'm showing this is I just want to illustrate how I think about these things as a designer, first and foremost. So the building you're looking at, it looks like it belongs, first of all, it's a replacement of a semi-detached Edwardian house, a single family house with a walk-up fourplex. So on the bottom level, you have two walkout basement units, and this is under construction. It'll be completed this year. On the ground floor, you have a two-bedroom unit, and on the second and the third floor, you have a family-size unit. What's important about this is that all of the entrances, every single one of the units has an entrance that goes directly to the exterior. So this maximizes the leasable area for this particular project. And another, I just have a quiz for everyone. So, and perhaps you can each answer into the chat. How much do you think the development fees cost on this project? Anyone? Or feel free to chime in, Lisa and Rachel and Ken. Okay, we have 50K.
I would say more than that. I'm looking at maybe, I don't know, maybe 150. Because you're going down, right? You're digging down into the basement to create those two suites. Is that correct?
That's right.
To create these two staircases.
Okay, well, you're a prize winner. It was exactly about $150,000. So, but I'll get back to this.
Flipping got me somewhere.
Yeah. So this is an image of my. So what we did closer to home, as a mom and pops investor, we converted our own townhouse here in Hamilton into a duplex during the pandemic. So we added a legal second dwelling unit in the basement, and this is what it looks like. And I'm in the process of trying to convert it into a triplex. And the reason for that is I just want to achieve the highest and best use for the site. And as an architect, our definition of highest and best use of the site is the highest you can get away with at committee of adjustment, rezoning, what have you. So I'm putting all my skills as an architect to be able to achieve this. So on the left there, you have an image of what we did, which is a legal basement suite. You have a walkout basement, so it's 100%, 600 square feet leasable area. We put in separate hydrometers, and we also applied to the Canada Greener Homes grant to do improvements such as all electric zoned heating and cooling system,
Nice.
a separate fresh air system for each level.
Mm-hmm.
And then wall insulation and attic insulation. We put that all in, while we gutted the whole thing. You might as well, if you're going to do something, do it right. And this can also be part, in addition to the housing issue, I think with doing secondary suites, your project can also be part of sort of a climate positive future. So these are the regulations that we're dealing with. So this is what we're looking at in the city of Hamilton. And with regards to parking, hats off. Well, first of all, hats off for Randall Boulevard, Ken. I saw that in the newspaper, and that's how I actually first heard about your company. It's a big win, but hats off to the city of Hamilton too for changing the secondary dwelling regulations so that you actually only need to maintain the existing parking that is there for that principal dwelling, and you don't have to provide, at least in the city of Hamilton, any additional parking for, say if you were to build a laneway suite and then also a basement apartment, that's just one. So what the bylaw says is you're allowed to achieve 3 units per lot. This is what I'm grappling with as I apply to convert mine into a triplex, is that one of them has to be a detached dwelling, so a laneway suite at the back, and the other one can be like a basement apartment or on the second floor. Then there's the other things: exterior stairs, maximum 2 bedrooms. You can look all this up, and I think it was covered in a lot of detail by Ken here. So on the left, again, we have, this is the house. This is the project we currently have. As I mentioned, it's a townhouse. So can we achieve the highest and best use of 3 units by adding a laneway suite? No, because there's no laneway access, and you need a minimum 1 meter access side yard to meet the current zoning on this site. So Bill 23 allows you to, basically says this, that no official plan may contain any policy that has the effect of prohibiting the use of 3 residential suites in a detached house or row house. So with that in mind, the project we have in mind is doing an addition. So the existing legal secondary suite will remain in the basement. We're going to have a common entrance for a 2-bedroom suite on the main level, and another 2-bedroom suite that is accessed by that main door in a common corridor on the second, and in the attic, in the renovated attic that you can see that I'm in. So our argument, I've taken this to committee of adjustment, and Bill 23 is it's fresh off the press. So when I took my argument to the committee of adjustment, what happened is nobody had yet read it, and so Bill 23, that is, or this particular provision. And however, Bill 23, that's the Planning Act. So the reality is that the Planning Act supersedes any zoning in any city. So it is actually the municipality's role in our system, in our legal system, to uphold the Planning Act through its bylaws. And so in my application, that's currently not happening. The bylaw hasn't caught up to Bill 23. To their credit, they're working on it. But what I'm doing is I'm taking this to C of A, and my argument to them was that, as appointed representatives of council, they have to grant me a minor variance to give me reprieval from the policy from the current bylaw that only allows you to do the 3rd one in the backyard. And the only thing I can report, so they gave me a second hearing for February the 2nd, which happens to be Groundhog Day. So I'll be there once again, but it isn't Groundhog Day because I have had feedback from planning that they previously were not in support of my application, but now they're indicating that they're willing to support this, and that's very important because as Ken showed with the NIMBYs, if you have planning support for a committee of adjustment application, that just takes the risks out of your project. So my the takeaways from this, I would say, is that this change is coming to many municipalities. So basically any single family residential site in Ontario per the Planning Act now should allow up to 3 units. And then this other, like, why did I bring up DC's development charges in the first slide, is that at least in the city of Hamilton, and as I'm aware of in most other municipalities, there are no development charges for up to 2 secondary dwellings, in addition to the primary dwelling. So we can do 3 units. There's no development charges.
That's important.
No, well, yeah, I mean, it's a significant it's a significant extra cost in your project planning, and it's a soft cost. I mean, it's just a check you're writing to the city. So I guess our advice in any project, like similar to the fourplex that we've done in Toronto, is that you want to assemble your project team early. You want to start planning early. You want to have your financing and budget a really strong idea of really how much you have and what your strategy is. But there's also incentive programs that I should mention, that relate to some of the case studies that Lisa provided. There's the multi-generational home renovation tax credit, which is brand new from the feds. You get a 15% credit on up to $50,000 of home renovation costs. And then there's a Canada Greener Homes Grant and Loan Program. And that gives you $5,000 basically off the bat to go from fossil fuels to doing all electric, so heat pumps, and which are actually far easier to zone and work with in a scenario where you have multiple dwellings in the same building. At least that was a strategy that we worked with our renovations.
Mhm.
And then they'll also give you a loan at $40,000 for zero interest over a 10-year payback period. So say you want to do all your installation and replacement of the mechanical system, that's $40,000 that you're paying $333 a month
That's
for
great.
10 years interest free, and you get $5,000 on top of that. So every site is unique. As Ken mentioned, you have to look at, for basement apartments, I have the same advice. It's the finish. It's the minimum height that you want to look for. You don't want to get into underpinning and those expensive sort of digging out a basement. For garden and garage suites, you have to have that minimum 1 meter side yard access. I know this is the case in the city of Toronto as well, as it is in Hamilton. And then there's that backyard depth we were talking about. It's got to be like 45. You need like 45 feet. Because once you take away those 7.5 meters from the main dwelling, you have very little space left to build closer to the back of the site. And then for a triplex conversion, the bigger the better. Good side access if you're doing a building addition. And lastly, I do think that it's important to mention, like for me, the triplex conversion financially and in the way that I think about my own project was huge, because I don't have to, even if I did have that side access, even if I was able to do it per the bylaw, I'd have to figure out, there's all the extra connection costs for the plumbing, for this, you have to do all these service connections to it. So
Right.
if you can do a third unit as an addition to an existing building, it's all
That's more
interior,
economical.
well, yeah, it's all interior work that you're doing
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
There's also less building envelope per unit. That's really important for not just for energy savings, but cost savings. That's going to be your biggest expense in doing an addition is that building envelope, the structure. That's the biggest part of the cost. So if you have any questions or projects you want to talk about, please get in touch. That's our website on the bottom, prh.ca. And thanks very much for the opportunity to talk with all of you and just share a little bit about our work and then my own experience in the journey with this multi-generational home that continues to evolve here.